You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner and you're listening to Mark of the Maker. And this is going to be a short one, a mini-sode. We're going to talk a little bit about Blade Show this year, Blade 2021. Only one of us from the crew went to the show, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. Our man Michael Birch is on awesome family adventure at the moment, so he's not joining us, but I have with me Mr. Tom Crine.
Hey guys.
And we have Mr. Sean Kendrick.
I'm your turbo lover.
Well, indeed you are.
Oh.
So Sean and I sat this one out, and Tom went to Blade Show this year, so we'll talk a little bit about Blade Show and some cool stuff that Tom saw, and homeboy can't come home from the show without a bunch of things in his pocket, so he'll talk a little bit about some of that. We'll talk about some awards that happened at the show and some other good stuff, but we'll get to in just a minute. We always, lately here, I've been trying to take care of business up front in the show. So first we need to thank our Patreon supporters. If you go to patreon.com and search Mark of the Maker, you can find us there, and there is some occasionally a little extra content there, behind the scenes look sometimes for certain tiers of our Patreon supporters. It's a way to send us a couple bucks each month for supporting the show and keeping this thing going. So we appreciate everybody that does support us there. We have an excellent crew. So high five to all of our Patreon folks. And if you're not part of that, please give it some consideration. The other person we need to thank is George Pelagonia from American Metal Exchange. George is a guy that provides materials to the knife maker world. And more than that, even, like, I bought all the tie for my ray gun beads from George. So he's got round stock, flat, a bunch of other things. He's got exotic materials. He's got titanium and some other stuff, zirconium and everything else. And I think even Damasteel as of late. So go see George if you need materials. He's a good dude. He's a fan of the show and a friend of ours. And so, George, we thank you. You can find his stuff at, Sean, where do we find George?
You can find George at amxinc.com. That's amxinc.com.
Damn. I'm going to snip that out and save it and just play it to myself every once in a while.
Silky, right? Not when you're going to bed, though.
I call that my non-regional dialect practice.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, we have lots to talk about for Blade, so let's get into it. Tom, you were the sole rep of Mark and the Maker at Blade Show this year. What it had all kinds of potential to be weird this year, right? Because we skipped last year. We're sort of on the backside of this COVID thing, and I think there was a little trepidation around the show, but a bunch of people were super excited to get back to it. So what was your take overall on Blade Show this year?
Overall, it was awesome. Blade Show was great. It went really smooth as far as picking up badges for me at least, and setting up my booth and all that. Me and Ben went down. We drove down basically Wednesday. I worked until about 6:30, and then we left after that. I had to get some stuff done. Not having a show in a while, I had forgotten how it happens. You plan a lot and nothing ever goes to plan because other stuff happens. So I didn't, when Wednesday started, I didn't have any folders finished. So I got 3, folders done that day, and then basically we took off. But, it was a weird show for me a little bit as far as what I took, because I'd planned on taking, X, and I took Y, it was kind of crazy, right?
What do you mean you planned X and took Y? Like you had pieces that you thought you were going to take, and then you ended up taking different ones instead?
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, exactly. So I, for this show, I had the hidden tangs, and I had a few other fixed blades, about 20 in total. And then I was going to do folders. Well, and I was working towards that, and I've got, probably still 16 folders that are up there almost done, just not quite.
Oh, wow.
But basically, we've been working on this canine project, and I didn't think I was going to get any blades back before, and I was not planning on it. And literally the week before, I got a call from Larkin, and they're like, "We got your blades done. They look great. We're going to overnight you 40 so you can take them to Blade Show."
Oh, wow.
So basically had to pull off everything else because this is something I really wanted to show at Blade, and just basically spent a week finishing those, which threw everything off. And then, the hidden tanks took a little longer than planned, and then I for whatever reason I decided to make this Mako out with the Dion Damascus, and that ate up about 4 days. So I lost about a week and a half, 2 weeks, which, basically just kind of skewed my whole idea of what I was taking. So
skewed.
It worked out good.
Say it, same thing.
Yeah, all the same. It worked out good. I mean, I had a great show. I was super happy with what I brought, and people that I showed the K9 Model 6s to were super happy also. So we got some sales from that, and we got the rest of them last week, and this week, and we're working on. I've been working on every day, basically trying to get some knives out to the people that wanted them at Blade Show, the companies. So yeah, super excited. So I don't know if you guys saw the Mako I built for the Blade Show, but I was really happy with that piece. It was I feel some of my best work, if not my best work to date.
It was really, really good.
Yeah. We bragged on you on an episode we recorded when you weren't here.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I got that, and that's one of the things that I saw. I went and met the people at Dion Damascus and talked to them for a while. Really interesting guys, and they've got a lot of new stuff coming out that's really cool.
Nice.
They're doing some really interesting cores, like they're doing some 204p core,
really,
and 52100 core, and some other stuff. So yeah, pretty cool. It's interesting, their technology. So their main gig is they make the Starrett bimetal blades, or they don't make the blades. They license the technology to Starrett, the bonding technology.
Okay.
And that's the technology they're using in their steel.
So it's their thing, or it's
pretty
Starrett's
interesting
thing?
It's their thing, and they license to Starrett. Starrett is the only company in the world that's using, from what I understand, this technology.
Okay.
And for you guys who aren't familiar with Starrett, Starrett's kind of the Cadillac of machinist tools.
Yes.
Yeah. So picked up some more Dion Damascus, the Kumai, and some other stuff.
Secret stuff.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, like Sean said.
I picked up some more Stag.
We said some nice things about you. We have kind of a rule, Tom. When you're not here, for every 3 pieces of shit that we say behind your back, we say at least one good thing. So that,
yeah. So that must have been a lot.
We bragged on you long and hard.
That's true. Very true.
But now seriously, love the Mako.
Yes.
I thought that was a
fun piece.
Fantastic knife, man.
And, for those that haven't seen it, it was full Stag handles, and I use this Kumai Sanmai steel from Dion Damascus. It's 3 layers of 1095 with nickel, silver, and copper in between the 3 layers. And I hand rubbed it, which I don't like to do, and I tapered the tang, which I don't really like to do. I really tried to push myself, and it took the time, but I feel like it turned out really well. So
it was worth the effort, in my opinion. It's a solid piece.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I mean, man, it was like I said when we were bragging on you. I don't think you could have picked better Stag to go with that piece, and I don't really think at this point anything else would have gone as well, period, on that piece.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that Stag was some that I got at ICE, and I picked up a little bit more, but it was such a nice big piece, and it just fit perfect. I was like, this is like made to be used on this knife.
Yeah.
So,
quick question on the heat treat, just standard heat treat on it?
Yeah.
Up to 1500, 1550 and quench?
I think I did 1575 and quenched, and then basically tempered it twice at 2 hours at, 400 or something. I'd have to look at the temper. I've been doing a lot of heat treating lately.
Yeah, and that just trips me out.
Super easy to heat treat.
Because I thought that the copper would start to almost liquefy, because I think that's well past copper's melting point.
No, it's not. Copper's melting point is 1800. or 1850 or something. They were telling me that. That's why only certain steels they can use. Like, I think ABL needs 1975, and I think, or something like that. Anything that's over copper's melting point, they can't use. So, yeah, I was surprised too when I got it. I was like, how is this going to work? But when I talked to them, it made total sense. So,
no, that makes sense.
It worked. It was really easy and nice to work. It was super parallel. The layers were really nice. Yeah, it was easy to work with. I'd highly recommend it.
Very cool.
I got a piece. I've just been putting off cutting into it.
Well, the nice thing, Sean, and this is something for everyone to think about. I've tried to use semi in the past on folders, and it won't work because usually the outside is like 416 or something softer to give it that strength, right? And the stainless clad. Mm-hmm. But with it, and your detent ball will just eat that stuff, right?
Oh yeah,
they're real gritty. It eats a track. I did a bunch of blades of the semi with the Japanese white or blue steel, and I basically scrapped them all after I tried the first one. But this stuff is hard, so should work great. Now, I'm not 100% sure how to work with the lock. Yeah, I don't know how to work with the lock with the copper. I don't know if that's going to be sticky or not, but at least the detent ball won't cut a track. So it's something to think about. It may not work real well on the lock face. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Won't know until I try it. Yeah, I've got something to experiment with. So yeah, as you know, one of the things that I was worried about with the show was there was a lot of people that I knew that weren't going, and there was most of the people from Canada and like Denmark and, basically outside the States, they couldn't get in. A lot of people couldn't leave their country.
Right.
So, I was kind of worried. But there was a lot of empty places too, because some people in the US decided not to do Blade Show this year, for COVID reasons. And, with the Europeans and Canadians and South Africans, basically anybody outside the US couldn't get in. So there was spaces, like they spaced out the booths and basically, made it where you could get another booth if you wanted. And you could tell, it felt like there were some empty spots. And also I feel like there was less people moving through, right? Now Saturday was pretty busy, but Friday definitely felt like there was less people. But it felt like the people that were there had money and wanted to be there and were super excited. So
yeah,
I don't know. It was nice, honestly. In the past, there's been some worries about the side room because Blade's in two rooms now.
Right.
And so the smaller room, I went over there on Saturday, and dude, it was jam-packed and crazy busy. It felt nuts over there, honestly. The big show room, it was more spread out and less people, so it didn't feel like as crazy. But that little room, it was nuts. And also, the temperatures down there were like in the 70s. So Blade Show was cool inside the Blade Show. Even in the big room, it was cool. But in the little room, it was like a freezer.
Yeah.
So that was something I've never really experienced.
Yeah, I think
that's unheard of.
I think even in 2019, this is what we used to call the new room, right? A few years ago when they started doing this, they called it the new room. And
right.
I think the first year it was a little bit slower. It seemed like there were people that didn't get it, that it was there. And then I think, didn't they route people through there on their way in or something as part of trying to show them that that space was there?
They did this year, I think, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then I think last time, I won't say last year, but 2019, I guess, was the last Blade Show. I think we had reports from people that the new room was cranking then. And I think even when we went to see David Boy, it was really busy back there.
Yeah, it was.
It was busier this year.
Okay. That's good.
It was nuts in there. It was good. Yeah. Yeah. I think for those that went, it was great. People were looking to buy stuff. It felt like it was a good show.
Nice.
What else? One issue that we had, the restaurant industry this last year's been pretty tough on it. So,
right.
A couple of the places, well, a lot of the restaurants they just don't have wait staff.
Okay.
People aren't back to work, and it was hard to get in to eat at places. Once we waited for 4 hours to get seated, and then we got seated and waited more like 20 or 30 minutes to get water. And then we couldn't order, and we ended up leaving and going to Waffle House.
Wow.
And we waited there because they only had one server, but yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But honestly, overall, the show, it was amazing. It was good to get out and see people, just like ice. And there was people wearing masks. Most people weren't. But I had a friend that at times he would put, most of the time he wasn't wearing a mask, and every once in a while he'd put one on because it just, he's worn one for a whole year, and it's just like he would feel more comfortable. So whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it was good. I think attendance was down, but not by much, and it was just solid. It was a solid show, and I think we're on the rebound for sure.
Yeah, good. I heard all good things about the overall structural part of the show. Right, there were problems in the past with security and stuff. I heard that was a bunch better.
Yeah.
We heard from a number of different people that Alicia from Blade Show was on the friggin' job and cranking it and keeping things moving and did a fantastic job. So high five to Alicia for all that.
Yeah, I think Alicia Newton did an awesome job. Had to be extremely stressful this year, more so than any other year, because of the pressure of a lot of the hotel staff wasn't there. And, there's such a lack of staff, and, it didn't feel any different than any year. If anything, it went much smoother in my experience. And so props to her and her crew. They did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I know we had talked a couple years ago about Blade Show maybe needing to make some adjustments, right? And some of that was around the way security and other stuff was handled, and some of it was around the details of itself of the show. And it sounds like that happened. And, maybe part of that is getting the feedback and knowing they do need to do a couple things different to try to smooth it out. And it sounds like that was probably a piece of it. And like you said, I don't envy that position. Alicia kind of driving the bus on that and having a crazy series of challenges, right? Some that, unknown things are always going to pop up, right? Plus all the stuff that's like, boy, this could go horribly wrong, right? Working that out as much as possible ahead of time and then flowing with it is a good deal. So,
well, yeah. And talking to Alicia, one of the main complaints that she had this year, and as a maker, I can understand both sides of this, but I think that it's a mistake to do. But apparently there was a lot of people selling their stuff on Thursday before the show. So they had pictures of it and stuff up, and then they were selling it Thursday. And, I get it if you're a maker and you can move your stuff and get money right now, I get it. But if you're coming to a show, man, you really shouldn't sell stuff until the show opens. People are coming to see your work, and it should at least be there when the show opens.
Yeah. I've definitely had the experience.
I feel pretty strongly about that.
Yeah. I've definitely had the experience in the past where I traveled to a show, had a specific maker or two that I was very, very hot to try to get a piece from, or get in their lottery, or buy something first come, first serve, or whatever. And you walk in the door and the table's empty. And that's definitely disappointing. So yeah, I think when that happens, it's hard for collectors and it turns people off, right? It definitely frustrated me when I experienced that.
Alicia also said this is the first year ever people started lining up on Wednesday.
Wow.
Whoa.
There's people camped out on Wednesday to get into the show Friday.
Yeah, that's wild.
Think about that. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it is. That's that pent up demand thing you were talking about.
Yeah. So, yeah, great show. I got a few things for the collection.
No.
I know. Hey, I had planned on being super good at this show. What are you laughing about? I had. Oh, man. Yeah. I did buy some Dion Kumai, which, I bought 4 pieces just to have to make some projects for fun. And then I went by Culpeper Mother of Pearl, and they had some nice stag, so I loaded up on some stag again, just so I have a little bit. And then, I don't know if you guys are familiar, I went around, when I was walking around, I met up with a guy. Are you guys familiar with Vero Engineering?
Yeah.
really cool stuff. Really nice guy, Joseph. I ended up with one of their pry tools, which is a super cool idea. Really well done. It's got like a bit driver in it.
Okay.
It's called the Fulcrum. And really cool project or product. And it basically, I've got a WIA T6 and a T8 and a driver pry bar that clips in my pocket. So I've been carrying that since I got it, and it's really cool.
Yeah, very handy.
It's really, for what I do, I mean, it's nice to have. And then they make an Axon liner lock. I really like this. I almost got one at the show. I'll probably end up with one before long. It's I'll send you a link. It's basically a little sheep's foot type blade.
Okay.
Really a nice little knife. So yeah, really nice guy. His products are really great. I mean, they're really good, well thought out. So highly recommend them. What else did I get? Ben got me something really cool. Ben picked up a Buckmaster for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
nice.
and the book that came with it, which is pretty cool. I actually bought some paracord, and we scaled the hotel with we put the little claw things in the guard.
The grappling hook feature.
Yeah, the grappling hooks. I couldn't think of the word, but yeah, we tossed it up on top, and I climbed up on top of the hotel. It was pretty cool. We didn't really do that, but I could have.
Right. You totally could have. Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys know I collect Deneen mugs. I've got a couple, and Kelly brought me by a Deneen mug that was really cool, and then I picked up a couple more from Rick Hinder and RMJ. So shout out to them. I appreciate you guys having mugs, and thanks, Kelly.
Kelly, like Steve Kelly?
No, Kelly Jinks. Yeah, she's in my group and a couple of the other groups.
Oh, okay.
Pretty cool lady. I got a couple books. I got the Boker book. Let's see. I got the Boker book and the J.A. Hinkle's Knives book for Neil Punchard gifted those to me. So that was
very
pretty
nice.
cool. Really cool books, and a super, super nice guy. So I ended up with, there's 3 books. I got the Buckmaster Knives book, the J.A. Hinkle's Knives, and the Boker book. And then Daniel, that works for me, gifted me the Arms and Armor from Iran book that is massive.
Oh, very cool.
It's a solid 2.5, 3 inches thick, and it's got so much information. It's really cool. Really cool addition to the library.
Nice.
And so that was all. I hadn't planned to spend any money, but I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Chuck Gadradis makes a Switch Army, and I had one on order. Super cool knife, and he had one that was still left on his table, and he's like, if you want this one, you can have it. And I was like, sure. So yeah, I did spend some money, but I hadn't planned on it.
It happens that way sometimes.
Are you guys familiar with those at all?
Yeah, where it looks like a Swiss Army knife, but it's an auto, like a scale release auto.
Yeah, it's scale release auto. It's got a toothpick and tweezers. Super cool knife. So
yeah, cool.
I did pick that up, and that was my custom purchase.
Very nice.
Yeah, that was pretty much my blade show.
Didn't you get some fancy books too?
Just the one from Iran, the Knives of Iran. That book is massive. It's a really cool book. I sent a picture to Rachel, and she's like, "Oh, that's one of the books on my list. I'm very jealous."
Ah.
So I made Rachel jealous. So that's like,
well,
I mean, that's pretty high on my list of things to do.
That's saying something.
Yeah, I felt pretty solid.
All right, so we had some friends of ours and people that we've talked about before who won some awards at Blade Show this year, it looks like. So Bruce Voiles got the Publishers Award. That's kind of cool. The Blade Magazine Cutlery Hall of Fame inducted Billy May Simel and his wife Beverly to the Hall of Fame, and who we've talked about, I think, a few times before in some fantastic custom knife conversations, but also Jay Hendrickson, who joined us for the Moran episode.
Yeah. Congrats,
and
guys.
Well-deserved all over.
Well-deserved.
Absolutely.
Pretty exciting.
So there's some
maybe someday we'll be there too, Sean.
Sean laughs heartily in your direction.
I can hope.
So what's some other stuff in here in the war? A bunch of people have talked about the production knife award, so we'll focus on the custom side. So Steve Rapp had a killer-looking old-school Bowie knife in here, which is really, really cool. A guy that Michael has mentioned a couple of times, and we've had a little conversation with, but Javier Vogt, VOGT.
Oh, yeah.
Had a super cool, best folder, and I can only assume this is an auto like his other stuff, like a guard release auto. Yeah?
It is guard release.
Oh, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so it's almost like a Dow-ish blade, but it has like a scimitar-ish kind of look to me. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, dude, that's as close to truth in advertising as you're going to get.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of semi there, especially with the way it peaks up at the...
Yeah, exactly. It's got a ring at the end. It is a really, really cool knife.
I can't remember what he used for the handle material in between the front and rear bolster.
Yeah, I was going to say it almost looks like buffalo horn or something, but it's almost a little too perfect to be natural.
Carbon fiber, side cut carbon fiber. I just enlarged the picture.
Is it really?
That's exactly what the fuck it is.
Wow. So he shaped all that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then the guard's just about got to be Zerk.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
You know, stippled all real nice. I mean, it's stippled to the point of looking almost like Stingray.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because when it's deployed, it looks like a fixed blade because it's got that extra fitting looking thing toward the front, but that actually is part of the handle, it looks like.
Yeah.
Because when it's closed, it's still there. There's almost like a bronze decorative piece or something. Boy, is that cool. Well, he's a fantastic artist. We've talked about Javier before, and this is a really, really cool piece. So another well-deserved award. All right, and it looks like one of our friends, a friend of the show, I'll call him a recovering Mark of the Maker former guest, won an award as well. Sean, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I got to give a big congrats to our buddy Luke Swenson. Luke won the Best Slip Joint Award at the Blade Show.
Yeah.
And well-deserved. I mean, dude, just a stunner of a 3-blade.
That thing's killer looking.
Yeah. I mean, gorgeous stag, beautiful bolster work. I mean, those bolsters are shinier than a new dime.
I think Luke is okay with me saying this. To me, Luke's work just continues to get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. He's far from a newbie in this thing, but it seems like over time, if you kind of pick points and look at knives, his stuff just gets cleaner and cleaner as time goes on. I think that's pretty fantastic to see. Always cool to see growth over time in a maker, right?
Yeah, hell yeah. Especially when you're to the point that Luke is, that you can still see improvement because, I mean, he's already fucking fantastic and he's continuing to improve on that. So.
Absolutely. Yep. Very cool piece.
Also, I like the feud he and Billy have had going. I enjoy that more than one person should. Yeah.
He and Billy Cho have a Michael Birch, Les George type of battle. Like there's ongoing poo being flung back and forth, which is always kind of funny to watch.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Is there any other stuff we want to mention from this? There was a crazy looking fixed blade in here. Best fixed blade. I don't know how to pronounce Jordan's last name. Jordan, I'm going to take a shot. Jordan Lamoth
is how I'd go at it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust me on it neither.
That thing's fantastic.
Yeah.
People should go look at this picture. We'll post a link to the Blade Show Awards where you can see all the knives. It has a really, really, really cool and unusual fuller. This is very, this reminds me, Sean, of some of the stuff that Rachel showed us in the Qatar episode where the fuller wasn't just like a hollow running down. It was like sculpted out section of the blade.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly traditional looking Persian piece. I mean, it's exquisitely done, but the lines are straight Persian.
Yeah. What a cool piece. You know what? This has a little bit of Killian Kreutz-ish look to it. That very super clean, you know what I mean? That almost a similar vibe, especially with the way the guard meets the back of the blade and other stuff. I don't know. Very nice piece. So, Jordan, that's a fantastic piece. Congratulations on that. It's a beautiful knife.
Yeah, gorgeous. And I recommend you guys, if you're checking out the Blade Handmade Awards, check out the best sword from Alexeyev Ilya.
Oof.
I mean, just fucking nuts, fucking insane on so many levels, from the Damascus to the engraving. I mean,
yes. Engraving to the degree of really being sculpting, right? I mean, like very deep 3D high relief kind of engraving. Really neat piece.
very. And I mean, gold inlay, all kinds of Damascus, just shit. Where do you stop?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because our engraver friend, David Ricardo, gets wound up sometimes because sometimes a piece isn't oriented properly. And so it's funny in this picture because they hold the sword in the direction that you would want to see the sword, right? With the tip up. But the engraving in the handle really is set up to be where the thing is tipped down and the handle is high. And so you got to kind of imagine what this looks like. But that main handle section looks like it's the castle, right? Like there's the top of the castle at the top of that kind of brass or bronze section before it goes into the rope.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I mean, yes, very. I'm trying to, I mean, it's like there's is it a castle door and some flames and a sun? And
oh, yeah. There's a lot going on. The other thing that you have to talk about, and thankfully they took a close-up picture, is the Damascus and the blade of this thing. It's absolutely bonkers. Yeah,
there's mosaic, and I don't like on the edge. I don't even know how to describe the Damascus at the edge. It's
almost like a vine-like pattern style, but
yeah. I mean, it looks kind of like the Vines and Roses file work a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, but then there's like a sandmine layer in between is what it looks like. I'd love to see this thing in hand, but there's no indication that that's like a separate raised section or anything. So you got to think that's sandmine forged into the steel.
Yeah. I mean, from what I'm seeing with the pictures we have, that's my take on it.
Look at if you look at the full-size picture, imagine keeping that core where it is that far down the blade.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Well, Tom had to drop off. You a little technical challenge, so I think we're gonna call her finished up here. We talked about some of these awards. Is there anything else we want to hit on, Sean? You know, I should mention this. I got these somehow. I happened to go to Grace Horn's website at exactly the right time. Grace wasn't able to travel. Like Tom mentioned earlier, Grace wasn't able to come to the U.S. for Blade Show this year. She had made a bunch of scissors. During our interview with Grace, she talked about these calligraphy scissors she made where she took the billet and had it EDM'd in two different axes to try to make a pair of scissors, these nested scissors that have the pattern consistent all the way around in three dimensions. And I happened to get to her website at exactly at the right time and nab those, and they just showed up today. And I posted a picture of them in our Facebook group. Those things are absolutely insane in person.
Yeah, just stunners. I like everything about it. I love the case.
Yes. Yeah. Like you said, there's tons of like, little details you go looking around, both on the scissors and the case itself. The case has a real cool magnet closure setup. Yeah, the scissors are fab. She's got this killer super deep hollow in the backside of the blades. They're like 66 grams, I think she said. They're very, very light for their size. They're a pretty decent sized set of scissors. So well done, Grace. Thanks for, thanks for letting me happen to come along at exactly the right time and grab these things. They're stunning. So I think that's it. Unless you had anything else you wanted to touch on, Sean, before we wrap this thing up.
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to say that I'll be appearing on the Knife Junkies podcast, and that'll be dropping on July 4th.
Nice. Did you guys
had a really good time talking to Bobby, and hopefully it'll be a good episode and folks will enjoy it. I know I had a good time recording it.
Very cool. And he does his thing with video or something, right?
Yeah. It was a whole different experience than what I'm used to.
Yeah, I bet. I've watched some of his stuff, and it's interesting because it's like a multi-screen video thing. So it's it seems like it'd have a different vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. But it was fun. I mean, it being different was part of what made it cool, a little outside of the comfort zone.
Well, very cool. Very cool. July 4th. All right. I think that's it, man. Good update from Tom on Blade Show. And he wanted us to mention, I think, that this was his 30th consecutive Blade Show. We're putting an asterisk because of 2019. But of the last 30 Blade Shows that have happened, this is 30th one in a row for Tom. point of pride for homeboy over there.
As well it should be.
Yeah. All right. Well, very cool. Congratulations, Tom, on your 30th Blade Show on one side of the table or the other. That's really, really cool.
Here's to 30 more.
Here's to 30 more. Absolutely. At least 30 more, please.
Yeah, please.
All right. Well, Sean, thanks for taking the time, and we'll talk to everybody next time.
Take care, folks. And remember, AMX Inc., they'll hook you up.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account, at Crine Knives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram at birchtreeblades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram, at msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram, at Mark of the Maker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.